just check the body. I'd like to see you sing. How's everyone's New Year?
Good, thanks. How are you? Thanks, Mike.
This kind.
What's that?
Why?
It is the best kind, I think. These gallivanting have long been gone.
I wish I was a morning person. I'm not. Whoops.
You're good. So,
Well, you're here this morning.
live. Let me just call Donna.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so we're ready for the audit committee meeting.
Okay.
All right, I gotta call the order, please. This is the Community Land Bank Audit Committee. What time is it?
8:31.
At 8:31. Call to order. Audio looks good. So we'll start with roll call. Suzanne Spellman,
Here.
I'm here. And, oh, Monica's on. Monica?
Yeah, I'm here.
And is here on the phone. Already had forgotten. Also present, I'm sorry. My brain does not get started today.
Brian.
And Brian,
I was gonna help, but I figured I'd be
why
quiet.
don't we go around the room? Our executive director, and our project manager.
Brad and Paul.
Yes.
Who shall we be?
I'm sorry. I seriously cannot get words out. First order of business is approval of meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
I move we accept the minutes.
And I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, even though I probably don't count.
Motion.
Do I, am I on here?
No.
I don't count either.
Yeah, we don't, right, we don't vote if if you're not on the committee, you don't vote. So.
Right.
Thank you for. Motion passes. Next order of business is to discuss making a recommendation regarding our RFP for auditing services. And Brad sent out 4 responses. Thank you. Good.
Thanks.
He is distributing.
The
Do
fee.
you want to discuss them, Brad? Or-
Yeah.
I don't know if there's more detail than this on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the top, there's 4 of them, the fee structures are next to it. It, obviously the bottom one there was about 3 or 4, it was 4 times the amount of
Yeah,
our initial
One
one
was-
with Bonadio. Bonadio's our incumbent, they've done it for, I think, since the inception of the land bank, and EFPR group actually came in exactly the same amount of money as them. And MMB and Co was a little bit more than that. I don't know EFPR group at all, so I can't speak to if they're extremely better or more responsive or less responsive. I can't say that I have worked with Bonadio's program, and it's kind of nice. I liked it. It was a little slow the last time around, but it's a nice platform to do everything. to upload the documents and that sort of stuff. So I have the proposal from EFPR group here. Gotcha. And Bonadio provided us proposal as well.
Well, since the first two are the same price, I would recommend we stick with Bonadeo because they know they know us, they know our finances for the last umpteen years. And I think the other people sound great, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, that was gonna be my question, Brandon. So do you like their technology?
Yeah.
Right. Anything, was there any part of this process, and I realize it's first round for you and it was not typical, so. Any of your experience in particular counts with them.
Right.
But do you have any other feedback about working with them?
I'm not sure if any of the slow work with Bonadio came at the heels of the city's financials not being 100% ready, and they might have felt like it wasn't important for the land bank to be closed out right away. So I was gonna allow for a little bit of grace in terms of the timeline that Bonadio did. Because, thinking about if we were to engage with them January 17th or 15th, I think we're gonna have the meeting on the 17th. But if we're gonna engage for them on the 17th and we start the process, if it takes 3 months to get to another audit committee meeting, then we can't meet our March deadline. They have to, in essence, they have to work faster than they did the last time around for us to meet a reporting deadline of March. So, I'm just going backwards in terms of the timeline of when we're supposed to report. Now, maybe we never reported on time with Paris. Maybe that's the way that
I mean, I don't know. Well, I feel like it was always close, but.
I can tell you the first couple of years it was on time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were complications at times, but not, like, it wasn't
Their fault.
December. For sure, right? Like,
Well, I think the other piece too is that you're just gonna have to hold them accountable, right? And when we engage with them, just say it's our intention to have a meeting on the third Wednesday of March to approve it, even if you have to put it special and do an audit committee ahead of a special board meeting. I mean, I think you could even do that. I know we have ours, so ours is actually due the end of March too. So we end up having to do ours. We do ours like 2 days before the end of the month, so that we have everything teed up in the Paris except for the audit, and then we put the audit in there, certify it, and send it on. So I mean, they're not unfamiliar with deadlines, but I think once we engage with them, it has to be committed to them that we have a deadline. And we're going to hit it this year.
Yeah,
what did we pay them last year?
I think it was $50 more.
Than this bid?
Yeah, I think it
But, I mean, I feel like-
$12,050.
It's been more because
We're messed up.
our records, I mean, we didn't have a lot of records, but I feel like the records were.
Well, 2022, we paid 18,000 because there's a lot of extra fees for the 2022 financial audit was, like I said, $18,000 because there was extra time spent by their staff. This year it was just 12,050, which is their base rate. And, now they just went down to 12,000 flat, going up $500 per year for 3 years.
And this doesn't, I mean, I just looked through this. I don't know what other communication you have with them. Did that base rate they feel is a fair estimate of what? I mean, not that it's gonna be less, but, a typical audit shouldn't require extra billing.
Right, I think the only
Over that.
reason there would be is if we didn't have our paperwork in order. We couldn't provide our documents. I mean, they'll have to assume that we're gonna give them the receipts they need and those things. But if we can't produce it and they have a bunch of journal entries to create for us, I think they would, it's extra for
Mhm.
figuring things out.
Yeah, but that's to be fair. I mean, so absent any concerns about what services they provided already, I'm sort of with Suzanne on this, that, well, they already know our stuff. Their bid is competitive. But I don't know if there's more to consider, not being an accountant. Does anyone have any
I
other
mean,
thoughts?
EFPR looks great, but I still feel,
Yeah, I mean, these seem like pretty standard. It's just for us. Right, this is their point. But they have experience, yeah.
So we're gonna make a recommendation, the audit committee make a recommendation to the full board to approve a contract with one of the auditors. And what I'm hearing you say is you guys are interested in sticking with Bonadio.
That, I feel like that's where we are, and the alternative would be if we want to speak directly to either of them, or well, both, I would say, they're both bids. And I think that's what, we have to give both the opportunity, but I'm not sure what else we would ask of them.
Yeah.
Besides getting a personal impression, which is not nothing, but I don't know, it's
is this a 1-year contract?
A 3-year contract.
3 year.
3 years.
But I would add that if you wanted to reserve that same right for insurance and attorney, you could lead, not that it's a problem, but could lead to a longer meeting if we want to do something January 17th to sign the contract to get going.
Say that again?
Yep. So we have 3 RFPs we're gonna recommend to the board today, only one for audit committee, but the executive
So
committee.
executive.
Gonna do insurance agent and attorney. And if we want to reserve the same right to entertain people to come and present to us, it could lead to a longer meeting. When we did the real estate presentations, it was like 30 minutes per. And so if you have the top 2 contenders and 3 RFPs, you could be a 3-hour
Yeah.
presentation cycle. So if there is a situation, I think that you're really interested to hear from the 2 of them, I think we should pursue that. But at the same time,
I don't know what I'm asking.
Me neither.
No, I think a good rule of thumb is that we've asked them to all submit their pricing. You have 2 that were the same price, one is an incumbent. It would take a lot to, the old school rule of thumb is that if it's not 5%, if it's within 5% of an increase, you always go with the incumbent just because it'll cost you that much just to bring somebody new on board, especially with a tight deadline. I personally think that you go with Bonadio. They're also doing the city stuff. It gets incorporated into the city stuff. I think it's just an easier transaction, especially as we're trying to get to the point where we're back on track and we're consistent, and that consistency will flow through the next couple of years. And then in year 3, if we feel that we're in a really good spot, then we can certainly, go back out and see if there's other people that want to partake in it. But they're well known in the region, in the state, really, for their work, and they're always present.
and just to clarify, like, Bonadio's not gonna ask me for last year's trial balance and last year's journal entries, whereas anybody new, this is what I think Monica's getting, anybody new,
Yeah,
they're gonna need all our books for the last 5 years, they're gonna need all this information to get on board, to sort of see where to test and learn about our organization.
I just think,
yeah, I mean, I'm comfortable making that recommendation. I mean, I suppose the board can, weigh in. The clock's gonna be ticking, like if we want. I I don't know what kind of window we'd have to do anything else at that point, but, I'm comfortable with that.
I am.
So the committee, do we need to vote on that recommendation, or are we just to decide? I don't think
It would be a motion to recommend to the board, right?
I mean, we did, okay, well, I motion that we recommend to the board to accept Bonadeo's bid.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion passed. That's what we'll do.
On top of everything else, they're in Albany and these other guys are in Williamsburg, whatever that is, or Williams.
So is there any other old business for the audit committee? I don't think so. Any new business?
I think that was
I don't
it.
think so. So next, the last business for the audit committee meeting today is to set a date for the next meeting. But do we need a firm date, or is that?
I think what we'll end up meeting is when we accept our
Right.
final audit, so it's probably
Yeah.
in March.
In March, but that would be as soon as possible after we
Yeah,
receive.
Yeah.
Audit
right,
results.
right.
So probably too early to set a date, right?
Mhm.
All right, I think that is it for the audit committee. Motion to adjourn,
Move to adjourn.
second. All in favor? Aye.
Who seconded
Audit
it? Wow.
committee is complete, and I think that's all that is needed for me today, right?
That's it.
I'm not gonna hang out, I got a lot to do today, so.
Thank you for coming. today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Despite my scrambled head, slowly coming online.
Eat something.
Yeah. It's it.
On, Jeff. Bye, Andrew.
Andrew. I'm gonna grab my coffee. Right, I think we're ready to go into.
Okay.
I'm ready. I'm not the chair then.
Oh, Jamie's not,
Say moi.
so here, so Suzanne's the vice chair, yeah.
Okay. Calling the meeting of the Troy Community Land Bank Executive Committee. It's January 10th and the time is
8:47.
8:47. So roll call is, let's see, Brian Barker.
Here.
Monica Kurzieski.
Here,
And myself, Suzanne Spellin, and our chair, Jamie Mager, is absent. Also with us are Brad Lewis, our executive director, and Paul Donnelly, our project manager. Okay, did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? November 11th and December 13th, last two meetings. And if so, any discussion or correction or whatever. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion. Am I allowed to do that? This is the right.
Yeah. And I would second. So all in favor of accepting the minutes? Aye. Okay, the minutes are accepted. Okay, our first discussion item is the insurance RFP recommendation.
Want me to take over on that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna move these real quick. So there are 4 people, I forget, I think Andrew took my other copy of the layout of the RFP responses. There are 4 responses for insurance brokers. There's no fee for insurance brokers, as they get paid by they get paid by the insurance company that they procure for us. So really, it's a relationship that you're working on. Tenite Group is the one that we've had for 6 years. Upstate Agency is, over in Latham, they responded, and then Gold River Insurance and USI. Gold River Insurance in Spring Valley and USI in Liverpool. I think USI might actually be a national firm and they might have little satellite offices throughout New York. So that being said, of course, they all sound great in their packets for us. I would say that Upstate Agency actually came here to talk about their insurance with us, and there are some people local to the Troy area that work in that agency that I know about. So I think the person, his name is Chris Spafford or something like that. He here's Beaufort. He told me that when we signed up for Tenite Group, that he was the salesperson for Tenite Group, and he attracted the land bank to use Tenite Group, and now he's at Upstate Agency. So I'm interested in the two local insurance agencies, but of course it's up to the board. I'm also, in this case, I'm interested to have them come in if the board, you guys think that's a good idea, and deliver a presentation, because it's not just dollars with insurance, but rather it's the relationship. So that would be what I would suggest, but open to questions, of course.
I think when I was interim chair, Chris Spofford called me and he sounded very interesting.
Hmm.
But I told him we had just re-signed it tonight and couldn't do anything until this coming year, so.
Okay, so you've been a little relentless in the,
Yeah, he must have put it on his calendar last year. I would think having the two of them come in, maybe for a special meeting or some, or maybe if we have a meeting with the attorneys as well, have them back to back. We only have one meeting.
Yeah, I'm all for local.
Yeah,
We're not. They're not competing for price, right?
right.
So,
would that be something they would tell us at the presentation? What insurance? Oh, they're just the broker to find.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if we had no complaints with Tenite, use the incumbent rule. I mean, I'd switch, but I mean, I'm always willing, if it's a relationship with Upstate that we're trying to build, I'm okay with that too. Should I have a strong recommendation, except the state local, to, some extent, state local.
And like you said, maybe give them a few minutes to differentiate themselves from one another.
Yeah, I think, Suzanne, to your point about the attorney presentations. I think we should discuss the attorneys to see if we want to have a presentation, but the insurance agencies in the Tenite Group and the Upstate Agency, both of those probably could come. They might be able to come on the 17th as well. Next Friday, and stuff. I can reach out and figure out if they're
I don't feel the need for that personally. I mean, my business, we shop insurance every year. And, I've never met the people that have ever provided us insurance. It's usually something our front office deals with. They for
Yeah.
us, we make a decision based on price most of the time, for us. But, here, this price is really not an issue. And no one, they've never failed us. This year, the land bank. I'm not sure. Monica, I don't know if you have any opinion about it.
About Tenike? I'm sorry.
A preference for insurance?
No, I just, it's such a weird and wonky thing that, again, going with the incumbent as long as the pricing isn't crazy amount and you like their service. I just, it's wonky to start even way back when, and I think it still continues to be.
Now, the insurance agent doesn't provide a price, but rather they shop for us. So we're hiring a shopper versus, at a certain price.
So how do they bill?
The insurance they purchase pays them a commission for the sale.
Okay.
Have we ever had a claim?
I think so, but I don't think lately.
The only reason I ask is at the end of the day, price or not, it's based on who's gonna pay the claim. You know, and obviously they're shopping on our behalf, but just if there was an experience, good, bad, or indifferent, you know.
I don't know if we ever did.
Yeah, and if they're shopping for us, our coverage could be by a different company every year.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's not like that. Yeah, and I couldn't even tell you that that's changed hands a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So I would tend to go with the incumbent, preference otherwise. Unless you have a recommendation.
I just know that, as Suzanne brought up, the guy, Chris, seemed pretty excited about the land bank. I don't know if that's good or bad, or, and because of that, here we are. Ted Ike's been serving us for 6 years, and so that's something. And, Chris is pretty ambitious as well, so.
You know, it's Albany based.
Yeah.
In upstate's sort of.
Lakeland.
Lakeland.
Yeah, I just know that some people in their offices live in Troy. Chris made some connections. You might know, I think the lady's name's Lisa.
Well, upstate took the time to meet with you. That's what's something.
Does the other group have land bank experience?
Upstate agency.
Yeah, the one that you were talking about.
So the story is the gentleman, Chris, who's at Upstate Agency, was the one 6 years ago to get Tenite to get the land bank to switch to Tenite. Now he works at a different insurance agency, Upstate, and he wanted to provide services to the land bank at his new agency. I believe that's what, how Chris's Upstate agency, Chris Spofford, knows about the land bank in Troy, which is why, like Suzanne said, about a year ago, he had, contacted her about being the insurance broker for the land bank. So I assume because he was involved with Tenite Group, he has experience. Does Upstate itself have land bank experience? I'm not sure if the agency does much with land banks.
How long does upstate say how long they've been in business?
Not sure.
Says they were founded in 1983 in Glens Falls. And their focus is nonprofits, fire departments, educational institutions, construction, municipalities, financial services, and hospitality. Maybe have both of them pitch their agencies. I mean, not a hill I'm gonna die on either way.
Right. Well, I think asking them to come in for 15 minutes to tell us what they
Yeah.
do different would be what I think would be possible.
I think if you have them both come in and just also explain how they would approach, making sure that the land bank had the best I hate to say best deal, but the best results and coverage.
Cut services, yeah. The coverage is good, but also there's times when services are important too.
Sure.
So brokerage will be, if we need insurance paperwork, we need, you know, we knock down a building and nobody mentions it to the insurance company. The only time they'd ever find out is if they actually met with you, you know.
Sure.
So if the brokerage, is gonna come in and look over our stuff and tell us that we're doing, or we're covering for the right stuff, so they have to be a little engaged too, so.
So they're also a subsidiary of Aero Financial.
Yes, they are.
Who's that, Upstate?
Yeah,
Okay.
upstate.
Is Arrow
Glens Falls.
Saratoga National now?
It is Saratoga National, I believe.
Okay.
Okay, let's invite them.
Okay.
Yeah, because they don't have anything on here about land banks, obviously, for the first one. And just make sure that they understand the nuance of land bank insurance.
Okay, moving on to attorneys.
Right, so we had 6 responses for the attorneys. And I printed out our RFP. And we had a 30-point, 30-point, 20-point, 10-point, 10-point structure to our RFP. The first 30 points being the understanding of the land bank law and the nuances to it. Then, I don't know if somebody had, oh, here it is. And then 30 points of in-depth experience, no, that's the 30 points of the land bank. And 30 points for experience in key personnel. And 20 points for organizational capacity, and 10 points for quality and completeness, and 10 points for fee schedule and affordability. So it lended itself to somebody being deeply discounted wasn't gonna be the one that wins. It's not as much on price as it is with land banks. And I, gave you guys this little printout, but really the only one that had experience with land banks specifically was Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah. Because they're currently representing Albany County Land Bank and Schenectady County. And then the other ones were Tabner, Ryan and Kinnery, Couch White, Rupp, Czech Lander, Czech Ladder firm, and McDonough Attorneys and Counsel.
And Matt's firm wasn't interested.
Right, Matt's firm was not interested in responding.
We don't know.
My guess is that Matt was trying to help for the time being, but really his firm is busy and he wasn't trying to do less than he should for the land bank. He thought that the land bank needed a little bit more attention than he was able to give this time.
Whiteman's the area, lots of experience. If they're already doing Albany and Schenectady, might get some efficiency there. Definitely some experience for sure. As long as their rates aren't.
So I printed out all of them and I put their rates in the where that sticky note is. You can just open it right up. And I think it's actually pretty good. I think they just had a mix $300. It's right there.
Per hour?
Yeah. And I believe we were paying $295 in the past. So I don't think it's much different than our experience in terms of the
I'm okay with that.
and
I don't have this stuff in front of me. Are they prepared to do the Paris reports for us as well, or is that something you feel like you can do now, Brett?
yeah, I could do those. That was actually pretty easy. It only took me like an hour and a half.
Okay.
I sent it out to you guys in email, I believe.
Yeah, I forgot to bring the pad with my email on it, so I'm flying a little bit, and just from memory at the moment, but if a $5 difference between what we were paying, which was touted as being a super aggressive price, to $300, I think, that's kind of, a split hairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a blended rate, so like their partners are upwards of 600. Their paralegals are down lower and.
Well, to be fair, I don't know how much you're gonna.
Yeah,
I am a personal believer that I don't think you necessarily have to have your attorney at every single meeting you have. I think as we get started and we continue on this path over the next, several months, I think it's really important to, have them for the meeting. I don't feel that you need to have them draft every document, especially if there's a good template out there. I think there's oftentimes, even as I'm taking over this authority that I'm at, there's oftentimes a reliance on them to do kind of ministerial work, where you don't need to pay somebody $600 an hour to draft a template for you once it's gone.
Yeah, I think, obviously, I've been writing or drafting all the resolutions the last couple of months, and then sending them over to Matt to look them over, but I think in the past, we used to have every resolution had to go through the attorney and it was billed every time. So I don't think we'll incur those same costs going forward with whatever firm that we use. Because a lot of times it is the same, like a resolution to unbank a property, to bank a property. It's gonna be the same one, you just have to change the address, right?
Yeah, and if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
So is this a contract for a specific amount of time or?
I think it's a three,
I think it's 3 years.
I think it's,
did 3 years for both.
I believe so.
maybe we went with 3 years. Yes, no, 2 years with it. The initial contract period is 2 years, with the option to renew on an annual basis for 3 additional years, if agreed on mutually in writing. So,
The insurance was 3 though.
yes. So it's a 2-year contract. And then you can go up to 5 years with it, year by year.
I make a motion to recommend Whiteman to the board of legal service.
A second. I would like to have them come. Meet somebody from there.
Do you want them to come on the 17th?
Yeah, not as, if we agree to hire them and there's no competition with the other people, I just, would like to meet them.
I can ask them to, if somebody is available.
Okay,
We had a first and second, you still need to vote to recommend to the
I
board.
guess. Okay, we had a first and a second to recommend Whiteman to the board. Monica, do you agree?
I agree.
Okay, passed.
Hmm.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, so usually in executive, we talk about the upcoming board meeting. Reverend Burke potentially wants to speak or at least have some questions about the facade program. He's asked me questions about our ARPA contract and the LBI contract grant. I believe that he thinks that there's a grant for the facade program that I'm not finding. Like, I didn't see it and he thinks that it exists. So I think he wants to discuss it with the board. So he asked me if I would put him on the agenda to speak.
So wait a second. So say that one more time. He thinks that there's a different agreement out there.
That's what I think he believes. Yeah.
Um,
And I think the reason I believe that is because he asked me for the ARPA contracts, I sent him the ARPA contract. And then he says, this isn't the one I'm looking for, I'm looking for one that you got from HCR. And I said, well, we only got the LBI operating and LBI phase two, grants. And he goes, well, send me the LBI phase two grant that you got. So the LBI phase two grant, I believe Teresa Newton applied for the facade program. But I think she was denied. So he may or may not want to attend. I wanted to at least bring it up.
So that's okay, but then we also, I mean, aside from all of that, and do we have, I mean, can the LDI people give us any documentation that says that they denied her the grant program?
I don't know, it's a little odd, but give me 1 second while I'm getting up real quick, because I know right where the folder is. So I got the application in front of me.
So I think that, so there's also this piece of the fact that we as an authority, a public authority, don't have grant making capability. So if our ARPA contract doesn't have it indicated in it.
Well, I think he thinks it's LBI, which is different than ARPA.
No, and if the LDI application had it originally in it, but it was denied,
Yeah,
right? But then there's this whole concept of, as a public entity, we are not a grant making.
right.
We legally can't do this program. So I think that's why Jamie was going to talk to, I don't know if you ever did or not, talk to our Trip.
Yes,
To see if they could, but the piece of this too is that, there's actually no money.
right, but I think, the idea is that if LBI was gonna pay for it, then it would be from them. Which I don't think they are, but even just this folder I'm going through now, it was Teresa Newton's folder. There's multiple references to her desire to do a facade program here. Okay, well, I don't have the final, I had the application where she applied for it. It's just one of those things that she was, so like right here,
LBI,
this is the LBI application, yeah.
the LBI might have.
Right,
Use it.
and that's what he just wants to talk about.
So, I mean, I get that, and I've worked with him for a long time. I think there's the piece of this is that I would see, I mean, if we have like the award, the financial award from
Yeah.
LDI, that you can tick back to each category of what they actually funded.
Yeah.
I would take that, I would have that available, but then there's this, I mean, the very big legal issue is the fact that we actually cannot give out grants. So even if there were funding allowed, we have to have a different partner. And I don't know if that's what the agreement with TAP was or what, but at the same time, we don't have the ability to be the grant making entity.
Gotcha.
Yeah, maybe we can explain that to Reverend.
Yeah,
You can,
I think he just wanted to potentially, because he called me back after getting the ARPA contract and he said, well, maybe we don't need to have, maybe I don't need to meet, maybe I think I figured it out. It's in the HCR. So maybe he won't come, I don't know, but he just wanted to at least get a forum, I guess.
Well, can we find out if LBI, what's going on that end?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna send it to him today.
So if there is money, it would have to go through us through TAP, correct? If we did it, or. we
I'm
can't
not
do
sure.
that.
I've seen it, the contract with, LBI, and I'm almost 99% sure that it was denied.
Okay,
So I think it's more just helping, obviously he was excited to get the handicap ramp done. And if LBI denied it, then that's not going to be very positive for him in terms of the church getting the handicap ramp.
we approved.
Right. So, I just have to get that paperwork together, and I will.
Okay. Paris,
Yep, so I emailed it out to you guys, I believe, in terms of the parish report, so I'll draw up the resolution to adopt the parish report. And then, once that happens, I can click certify and send, I believe, right?
mm-hmm,
And then I just wanted to like create a meeting schedule ahead of time for the board meeting. I don't think we have to vote on it. I don't know, Monica, you probably would speak to it, but just having it set up ahead of time will be easier for the board and easier for the community to know when we're meeting.
well, it's always been third Wednesday.
Yeah, regular meeting schedule for the year, and then just having that set up, but also the A&D committee and the executive committee and those sort of things, just like having it on paper for me for notices and that sort of stuff. I could put it on the website as like a click here for this year's schedule. And then there'll be hardly a question of when we're expecting to meet. So it just comes on the heels of me trying to do what I can to give enough notice to everybody so they know when we're meeting. Which, by the way, we got some compliments about that on Reddit, so. Yeah, somebody,
Somebody on
yeah.
Is that what that's for?
Well, somebody had posted that we were listing a Park Avenue for sale. And then somebody else had posted something like, they seems to just be putting up meeting minutes from the last 6 months. And then somebody said they thought we were doing a pretty good job being transparent lately, so.
Great.
Yay.
Yeah. So,
I think before, didn't we have A&D and executive, well, on the same day? Like one was at
Back to back.
8:30 and one was 9:30?
Yeah, we just.
And that was like the first one of the weekdays of the month.
Yeah.
I don't know about the other committees.
I mean, I've been coming, they're all working for me.
Okay.
All up to put it out there for everybody, it's okay.
Yeah, my mornings are generally free, so
okay,
whatever we come up with.
yeah. So, A&D had recommended the sale of 791 River Street. It was, an offer came in for $400,000. So that's a positive thing. So they wanted to move forward with that sale.
Who, and what do they want to do with the commercial space?
The guy's name is Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Let's do a deli.
Yes, he wants to do a deli, he said.
Ugh.
It'd be
He-
nice New York.
He owns the building that Mallow's Deli on Fourth and Ferry? That's Ferry, yes, Fourth and Ferry. The corner of Fourth and Ferry,
The one that's the big problem?
no, I think that's on Third and Congress.
It's very
Oh,
common.
okay.
Fourth and Ferry?
Is across from the Troy Pork Store.
There's
And
a deli
Where the
there?
brown bag used to be.
yes, where the
Oh,
brown
okay,
bag used to be.
okay.
Oh, I thought that was a restaurant.
Well, on the window of it says a bunch of stuff about a deli, and That's his LLC is 156 4th Street LLC or something like
They
that.
just redid the facade.
Yeah, with
on
the
that
yellow
building.
mortar,
Yeah,
or
with
tan
the
mortar.
tan
very-
mortar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the 10 water, just on one side.
It's cleaner. It's a lot cleaner, you know?
Yeah, they did every mortar joint, so.
Yeah.
And they scaffold and they put up the protected
So can
barrier.
so let me, so there is zoning, I think, in regards to the,
Use,
the frequency, I'm gonna say frequency, but the geography, the geographic distance between, corner stores and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So is there a way that we can put as a condition that they get planning and zoning approval prior to their closing?
I mean,
Could take a while.
well, the question then is,
That could hurt you potentially from closing, Monica. That could potentially hurt from closing. That could be an out clause for them to get out of it if they run into zoning problems. Because in the previous meeting, I recall it coming up that anything zoning or otherwise is on the buyer.
yeah,
Do you recall discussing that? If we make that a contingency, then anyone, could make an offer and then get out of it and saying, well, I couldn't get zoning, so goodbye.
well, right, so the A&D committee was more interested in not having a condition of the sale.
Correct.
And actually not having a preference on the commercial space. And because
Exactly.
we're a residential organization.
Exactly.
And just trying to find a buyer for the building and let them deal with the commercial space the way. Right, am I saying that correctly? Yeah,
And maintain affordability.
yeah, and a 10-year affordable rents in that way. So you could ask them to have some approvals for the commercial space or zoning approvals for the commercial space. But like Paul said, it might hold up the sales process, and then at that point, it is more dynamic than I think the land bank is set up for. And I think looking back, I wonder why the land bank put in a commercial space.
Right. Honestly, it's a city issue. Whether or not to grant someone a license to operate or change the zone or whatever. It's not the land max issue in my eyes anyway. Just one man's opinion.
Well,
And what,
the only thing I'm gonna say, and I get it, and I'm in the minority on this one, is that we are a steward to the community that we serve.
Certainly.
And if we all of a sudden just sell to anybody, we're gonna become the bad guy quickly. So I just want to put caution out there that, I think it's important for us to do our due diligence. Does this guy have, any issues with the police department and his location on 4th Street? Those kinds of things are, we used to do the same thing when we sold the properties from the city, the foreclosure properties. We used to go through code enforcement was at the table, the police department was at the table, the fire department was at the table. All of those places got scrubbed before we sold something. I just think that we need to, if we're going to be stewards of our community and we're going to try to better our community, I understand this is the only commercial space we have. It might not be the last, but I think it's something that we need to consider. If there's 3 bodegas within a block, I don't think a 4th is something that's good for the community. But again, I'm the minority on this one, and I'm just going to state that opinion. So,
well, there's definitely another one a block away on River.
yeah, and there's one on 5th too. Is that still open? The one right next to, the charter school?
The one at the
Yes.
corner.
Scrappy one.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
That's,
One of-
So is deli a nice way to say bodega?
Probably.
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, in the zoning code, and I don't know with this last zoning, I'd have to look it up. We had back, I'm going to say almost 10 years ago, we tried to change it so that there was like a geographic distance between them. And then there was different categories of stores. There was, you know, a deli, there was a grocery store, there was like, you know what I mean? Like there was different qualifications of what that was. I don't know with the new zoning, to be honest with you, I can't remember if they delineated that and refined that a little bit, but you know, it was intentional and it was done so that there wasn't all of this replication because it just doesn't help the neighborhood. It could with the good intentions, but you know, selling glass and chips does not really help your neighborhood.
Hmm.
And Lucy's.
Yeah.
Well, we put reverter clauses on. I mean, if the intention is a deli, then make it a deli. Rather than a bodega.
Yeah, you'd have to define it.
Um,
Well, technically speaking, isn't a deli a place that serves, you know, cold cuts
Sure.
and stuff like that, and a bodega
And
has,
most bodegas sell deli and cold
Yeah.
cuts.
sells that sometimes and just,
Downtown on Congress Street, the one on the south side that's all boarded up where the tea time used to be,
Mhm.
that was a deli.
Yeah,
But it still sold all of the above.
on Congress and Third, right?
Hmm.
Well, the dilemma is too, is we created that commercial space as the land bank. You know, if we're waiting for like the, you know, the pottery person to drop in or something like that. I mean, I don't know, we could be waiting a long time. I don't know.
I think in this instance, we have to sell it just to get out from underneath it. But I think it's certainly something that we need to consider and the committee needs to consider going forward if we do get commercial space.
Hmm.
I mean, like Paul was saying, that, you know, he's gonna have to get planning approval, so the city could, you know, put him through those extra filters about what he's actually planning on doing.
yeah, you'd probably have to go to both planning and zoning.
I would imagine.
It's not like we're approving a bodega. He's proposing a deli.
Hmm.
Do we know what that means? I don't know.
Well, we'll bring it to the board for discussion. Bring the application to the board for discussion. And, I will do the, you know, contacting the treasurer at this point.
Did the other applicants offers propose anything for that space?
The $325,000. There was another person who offered 325. I'm looking. Which needs to download.
You could do a laundromat. Some kind of
It's not big enough.
office.
Yeah, I always thought it would end up being an office, something like architect or CPA or something, you know, nothing that involved, because it's small, really small footprint.
It is.
So this person that offered 325, I remember so they're both, one's in Yonkers and the other one's, I believe, down that way as well.
Well, that's not cool. Well, if you're gonna pay $400,000 for a building that's across the street from a used car junkyard in what's supposed to be the worst neighborhood in Troy, hopefully you're not gonna put up a piece of crap.
Yeah, especially with two beautiful apartments above it and a brand new building.
Right.
I don't believe the person who offered 325 they didn't fill out the space in the application, said, please tell us more about your proposal and interest in the property. And all they wrote was, we have experience owning and managing various property in Westchester County, including single family homes in Yonkers, as well as 6-unit apartment building in New Rochelle. Our plan is to hire a local management firm to be responsible for maintenance as well as collecting rent. We acknowledge and are willing to comply with the 10-year requirement. That's all the person wrote. They didn't really address.
That's all admittedly an absentee landlord as well,
Yeah,
in that language.
And, but this is the 325 offer is, somebody that doesn't have any ties to the area. Whereas Mr. Ali, he, already owns a business, I guess, like this. I mean, when I went on Google Maps and I drove past it on Google Maps to look at the building that he owned, when we got the application. Now, I think it was because of the business Mallows before that, but it literally said like deli needs cold cuts, and it's like on lettering, vinyl lettering attached to the window on the building. Then I had also seen the repointing job. That's a lot of effort. The person who did that work, it's a lot of effort.
Ton of effort.
So like you said, it's a nice new building. And it fits with what I see him doing at this other business. So his application was complete as well.
I mean, on Fulton, there's Night Owl, and right across the street, there's a newer deli, but they also sell a bunch of, smokes.
Yeah.
And,
toilet paper and.
yeah, yeah. And I've gone there for sale, it's like,
So the sign said Boar's Head.
right, it's super clean and it's new and it's okay. Whereas Night Owl's pretty tired.
But they make great hamburgers.
Never had them.
Well,
It's not like it's the forever use. It's its proposed use. The forever use hopefully is the affordable housing markets above it.
Right.
The nature of cities is things change.
well, if, the competition collectively means that he doesn't make any money, I would imagine he would change the occupant of the ground floor.
Yeah.
Not thrilled with it, but can't tell people what to do.
Well, I'm gonna put that on the agenda for what the A&D committee had recommended. I had recommended to the committee to bank the 4 properties that I put down here, 871, 834, 836 River Street, as well as 33406 Ave. For rehabilitation, for complete rehabilitation. So we can exhaust the use of our phase 2 money, because we cannot apply for new money until we spend at least 75% of the money for LBI phase 2. And so we move forward cautiously, and we need something to spend the money on, the projects to move some buildings to habitable status. And so we have that on the agenda as well. Of course, in awarding the RFPs that we have, and that should be the whole board meeting, I think.
Okay. So by complete rehab, you mean redo the rehab or, okay.
Yeah, similar to what we're doing with LBI phase 2 right now, if I understand it correctly.
So it's not just stabilization.
Right.
Correct.
So to put it very directly, we have like 1.7 million to spend, and we're gonna spend 200,000 in this program. We have to spend $1.4 million in order to qualify for the next money.
Okay. No, I would, if it works out with great contractors, I'm more than happy to, I think it would be easier to sell something that's done.
And what I could say is we do not plan to spec build.
Uh-huh.
We don't plan to spend money that we don't have. And we also don't plan on like doing anything extravagant. It's just fixing the buildings as they're there that we have in our inventory.
Okay, so that's like putting in bathrooms and kitchens.
Yeah.
And walls.
Right. Well, it's like, for instance, 834 River Street already has walls, already has outlets, already has lights. All it needs is kitchens and bathrooms.
Plumbing is,
I don't know about that. But it's actually, that one's actually not a big lift. You know, we'd have to separate some things, but it's not a big lift. That being said, you know, as we discover what HCR is gonna do with this LBI Phase 2 money, I think it's a different game than the past. And so if we could spend the $1.4 million that we have left, then we can reapply for new money. But, you know, these 4 projects will give us something to focus on with that money. Whether we accomplish all 4 of them or just do 2 out of the 4, it's to be determined. But by banking them for this, or earmarking them for this, banking them for this, Paul can start on the environmental, start on the process of getting us cleared for these projects. And then we can put out an RFP for architectural services before that in conjunction with it. And then we can get the plans drawn up for these projects.
Yeah.
And when it comes to RFP time, we'll have plans and we'll have the approval from HCR that they'll cover the
Environmental.
cost. So at the same time, then we put an RFP out for somebody to rehab it with the money. And similar to what we're doing with the stabilization, you know, obviously we've got 3 of those roofs paid, so,
Sure.
you
That is
know,
what paid.
once we get the other 6 projects done, we've sort of figured out the process and,
Sure.
you know, we'll figure out exactly how it goes in terms of such a larger scale. You know, cause I'm sure somebody's going to want progress payments. It'd be hard for them to
Sure.
have a
The scope and
$300,000
size, yeah.
RFP and, you know, cover the whole thing, but
And we're not familiar, I'm not familiar yet with HCR's take on partial payments or,
yeah,
you know, along the way, but we'll figure that out. We figured everything else out, so we can do this.
yeah. What I told Andy is if we get ourselves in a place where, you know, we're misstepping or don't understand it, we'll just slow down. It's better to not move forward than it is to
right.
make a catastrophic mistake, but at the same time, well, you know, I think that there's certain stages, certain inspections that can happen. You know, with code, there's usually a rough inspection, an insulation inspection, a sheetrock inspection, and then a final.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure the payments can meet those criteria. So when the code department says your plumbing's roughed in, your electrical's roughed in, there could be a progress payment. tied to it.
Milestone, specific
You know,
milestones, yeah.
Specific
That
milestone.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so, you know,
HCR would know that people want.
Sure, and we're not the first to, you know. to come
Yeah,
across this.
yeah, and so we'll be, and then maybe she tells us that we need to consider something different. Maybe she says that, oh, you guys can't float this. And then it's okay.
Oh, can't.
So, and we'll be in contact with her, but the first step is creating some projects that we have plans for and seeing where that takes us.
So we'd have to issue RFPs for architects.
I think so, because our professional services goes up to $10,000. And if we're gonna get architectural plans for 4 buildings,
It's gonna exceed 10,000.
I think so.
I would guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I'm glad we're gonna do that, because I don't think we ever had, you know, we would sell our buildings to Joe Contractor, and he never, and then we'd see what he did, but we didn't see plans or anything, at least I never did. And I think, and that ended up with some buildings with some really wonky, especially kitchens. Refrigerator on some weird place.
Mhm.
And so that's great. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and at least with architectural plans, say we did 3 out of these 4 projects
Mhm.
and 1 we didn't get to. The plans still exist. And we get them approved by code and they go with the building if we
Right.
decide that we wanna unbank it and trade it open. They'll have some value to whoever uses the,
So is this just us or are we partnering with TAP or anybody else?
just us right now.
Okay. But we could conceivably use TAP or
We could hire Ted. We could hire,
whoever.
we could hire one architectural firm for each building and not do an RFP for architectural services.
Okay, because it's under the,
Under the
Under
professional,
professional.
yeah. Professional procurement policy. It's what now to follow our procurement policy.
Have we ever thought about working with the, I don't know if Dean Douglas is over at RPI still. Have we ever thought about working with the RPI students?
Well, we still sort of have that urban studio relationship. You could go that route, but then you're sort of on the academic calendar. It's that, we always thought about that more as a new build, kind of like with Habitat. They do an urban studio. I'm pretty sure they're still doing it, at least once a year, one semester a year, but then you're on their calendar.
Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt to try to reach out to them to see if there's, maybe not this year since we're in the middle of their calendar. Maybe there's something for next year with the senior, because it's usually a senior project, right? Maybe
No, it's like
tee up.
it's like what they call a vertical studio, is their urban studio, so they have maybe third and fourth years. Yeah, I'd really like to see that formalized between TAP and Habitat and RPI and us, but haven't gotten past the MOU yet
Okay,
because of lawyers.
okay, never mind. I do have to jump off. So do we need to vote on anything?
I think,
Not that my vote counts, right?
I think we're good.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
you
See you,
too.
Monica.
Okay, bye.
But yeah, I think it's great to land banking those four properties.
So on average, what would be an appropriate fee for drawing up plans on a building that's already existing?
It would depend on usually it's a percentage of a construction budget. And it really depends on, how much real design is involved. It could be anywhere between 5 and 15% of the construction budget,
Okay.
depending on how fancy you're
Yeah. I'd pay $2,000 to $5,000.
And in my mind, it's been 8% is average. It's just average.
And that would carry it through construction, like having a little on-site, supervision there.
Yeah, but I think most time with the city, in order to get us, if your building is lost at sea, or I don't know if we've lost it,
Mhm.
but I mean, how do you tell one of these new contractor come in, we want you to build this for us? And if we haven't given them a design, they're, like you said, they just build what they want.
Yeah,
And stuff gets lost in translation.
yeah, we didn't do a good job.
We're gonna,
I know you guys in charge. Straight and narrow.
that's it.
Yeah, that was a perfect storm.
Yeah.
Take it over.
Well,
You had
even,
COVID, and then you had it's just.
even the other buildings we did, that we sold to, like
Contractors.
Bobo
Yeah.
and all these other people. They
Work
did,
wasn't great.
the work was horrible. I mean, it was past code, but it wasn't anything I would brag that
Sure.
was mine. The 99-cent laminate flooring.
Yeah, it's kind of perpetual.
Yeah, just to, sort of touch on that, I was dreaming about it the other day before bed. And it's just like, even something like tiling the floor in a bathroom, 3 by 5 is what you have before, 15 square feet.
Mhm.
And you can get the cheapest tile for 19 cents a square foot or whatever, but you could also pay $5. It's only 15 square feet. So $5 a square foot for like a penny tile. The heck,
Less than $100.
it's $75. So something nice,
Right,
like a tile floor.
right.
Because I wonder, sometimes I wonder why my wife's designs in our apartments attract so much interest from people.
Cause they were nice.
Cause she has great taste and it's not, it's just the kitchen and the bathroom.
Number
And,
one and number two.
right, and it's just like the cabinets, and she'll pick a nice paint color, pick the cabinets that color, the stone. But it's like the level of finishes, when we do them tastefully, will be what people will be excited about.
Yeah,
So, even thinking about that further, it's like, even the kitchens, the way they're designed, you discussed that. My mom's a kitchen designer. And so, just having them designed right, where you have that triangle and the flow is good. And doing it right will make it so people just fall in love with the place.
right. And also, it always bothered me that the idea of affordable or low-income housing has to look like crap, You get what you pay for.
Right.
And if you don't respect your building, how do you expect anybody else to?
Right.
Especially if your 99-cent flooring comes up 3 months later.
Well, right, and then honestly, if you put something durable, or a timeless finish like hardwood flooring, it might last 100 years.
Or even better, vinyl or something. I mean, my kitchen has, what's it called, the luxury vinyl or something like that.
Yeah.
And, it looks good. I wish I could afford it, either tile or wood, but I couldn't. And the vinyl looks great and
Sure.
it's really held
It
up
holds
well. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he said, long-term products,
Yeah,
whether it be
LVT.
tile or whether it be hardwood.
And I got cats.
We sell LPT in colleges and universities and their dorms, and kitchenettes and all that stuff. It's pretty.
Yeah, the
It does hold up.
technology is really pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are we adjourned?
yes, we have a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
All right.